Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is John Jake Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the UFL Dynasty featuring 32 team builder franchises here in Madden 25. Now, the team that we're taking over in the Dayton Triangles, we're right in the thick of things, right? We are right in the thick of the playoff hunt. We're sitting at 3-5 as of right now, about halfway through the season. And these next few games are really going to determine whether we're going to be gearing more towards a higher draft pick when it's time for us to draft, or if we have a legitimate shot of playing for a playoff spot and to get into playoffs here in year number 1. So a big episode here, man, and we're going to be at home for the next 4 games, taking on Atlanta, taking on Philadelphia, the Pittsburgh Maulers. In our division, by the way, they currently hold the lead in our version of the AFC North. And then, of course, we're taking on Birmingham. So the schedule breaks out pretty well to where we could actually mess around and make a run if we just handle our business. So let's see if we can do exactly that here, man. Excited for this episode for sure. And with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into the action. But first, we have a team meeting on the line. Alright, boys, so we're here in this team meetings because I want to make sure that we as a team are all on the same page, because we did play this Atlanta team, like I already mentioned, once during the preseason, and they absolutely cooked us in that preseason. So I want to come out here and I really want to prove that, hey, we can actually beat these guys now that we got maybe a little bit better as a team over the course of the season so far. As you know, we're talking about what kind of exploits and what kind of weaknesses we could possibly take advantage of. And they're a little bit weak at the corner position. They don't really have a true number 1 corner. So maybe it could be one of those things where Chris Saxon could really be placed in a position to be successful. And so that's the goal that I wanted to do. I wanted to get Chris the ball early, and Chris Saxon needs to get the ball often in order for us to give ourselves the best opportunity to win. So with that being said, we are here at home. We're taking on Atlanta. We're a higher overall team on paper at the very least, but they're certainly not playing like your average 76 overall team, as Atlanta is going to jump out to a 7-0 lead to get things started here, as their quarterback, Nick Coleman, is going to take it right on the chin, no diddy, and it's going to run it into the end zone. So that's how the first score is going to happen for the Atlanta Legends. And that might not be the only touchdown that Atlanta gets today. Oh my goodness, I thought that was actually going to be caught. We were very fortunate that we were able to see him drop that pass, because that absolutely should have been a touchdown. But Atlanta might not have to wait too terribly long before getting that touchdown to happen, as we do end up getting caught up into the end of the first quarter, and we will see Atlanta take a 7-0 lead into the second quarter. But y'all saw where they were at on the field, right? Like, Atlanta is certainly putting together yet another drive, and they will be finishing that drive with yet another touchdown, as the Atlanta Legends, with that Chad Whitlock touchdown grab, is going to allow them to jump to a more significant lead. So much so as we find ourselves down 17-0 with about a minute left here in this first half. And, you know, simply the game plan has completely gone awry. It has not been as successful as I wanted it to be. So now we're just trying to find some sort of offensive consistency before we do go into the halftime locker room, as Collar is making a look around here, going to try to send the 4 verts till it hurts. And honestly, I'm not huge on what I'm seeing downfield, so I am going to call a drag route just to try to play it safe here a little bit. And it was a good call because they were on cover 4, so not as many guys out kind of guarding those flats or guarding those drag routes. So now, 1st and 10 coming up. Collar's going to drop back. Doesn't have a ton of time. Tries to step up and scramble, but instead it's going to end up being 2nd and 13. A sack for Collar. As now Andrew will drop back, throw over to the left-hand side. He's going to find Leon Thomas. Does stay in bounds, so the clock is still going to keep running, and we got to move quickly. Less than 20 seconds left in the first half. Collar jumping back, looks down the right-hand side. He's got a guy. It's not caught. Oh, Jesus, man. I thought we had a touchdown there, but, you know, can't have nice things sometimes. We'll try again here with 9 seconds left, as we will get it out to Grayson Heidick, and at least he is going to step out of bounds with 3 seconds left. And so we will settle for a 45-yard field goal. So still going to be down a couple of possessions as we hit that field goal right down the middle. But unfortunately, nobody really came to the facility today because we are not playing well at all. Atlanta has continued to build its lead, 26-3 at this point. We will try to throw to the left-hand side, just really trying to be desperate at this point, as we will have to turn the ball over on downs, as we do miss out on Chris Saxton trying to make a kind of play, but Collar did overthrow him, let's be real. And now Atlanta going for it on a 4th and 1, up by 23 already, and it just isn't great sportsmanship. But, you know, on the flip side of it, we should have done a better job guarding this. We should have absolutely done a better job guarding it. We did not do that. And now we're down 33-3. We are, as the kids would say, down horrendous. And we'll see if we can change anything with this particular game. 8 minutes left. Probably not going to come back unless a miracle genuinely happens. But we can at least finish strong, though. I can tell you what. Andrew Collar's going to line up in the shotgun. No, it's a play action. We might have a man open downfield, and we do. Chris Saxton finds the end zone. Touchdown, Dayton. And we finally found the end zone for the first time today. But will it be our only time that we find the end zone? Atlanta is going to score yet again, but you know, we have a chance to, you know, take over for a full possession once more. Here is, you know, we usually try to play the moments unless it's like a big primetime game, right? So we pick up the first down with Paul Lashley there, as Lashley's ends up doing a little dance after picking up the big gain. Don't know why he's doing that, to be honest with you. We're down by 30. But, you know, it is what it is. Younger players, he'll learn to have that emotional maturity someday, or at least I would hope. Had a man wide but naked open, though, and unfortunately we could not get the ball to him because the pressure was actually a little bit too significant for us. So now, 2nd and 10 coming up as Collar drops back to pass. Wants to throw over the middle of the field, and he's going to have Leon Thomas. He's been having a solid game, not a liquid or a gas at all, as he nearly picks up the first down as we're closing in on a 2-minute warning. Collar wants the comeback route for Chris Saxton, though, and his #1 receiver is going to hang on to it. However, one of our offensive linemen goes down with an injury. It does stop the clock at 2:11, so maybe not the worst thing in the world, unless, you know, we got to at least take advantage of, you know, the fact that we got into the red zone. That's not going to do it. That's not going to do it at all, as Atlanta gets the turnover, and we were completely obliterated in our first matchup since seeing these guys in the preseason, and we're in a real predicament for the playoff hunt. So at least in this game, we could clearly see what happened. I mean, you can't pin the blame on one particular unit because it was an all-around ass-kicking. We lost 40-10 and really didn't do anything well except with that second-to-last drive where we did end up throwing a touchdown pass to Chris Saxton, but we really have to work on really all facets of the game, and so are some things that I want to address through the spring football draft when that time comes. I do want to say I think we do have some pieces in place already. Like, I think Andrew Collar definitely is our quarterback for the foreseeable future. He's 16 for 27, 200 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He is getting better as a passer and his decision making, so that has been encouraging to see. Paul Lashley, on the other hand, is going to be a different story. We might let him walk, to be honest. The 9 carries for 17 yards. I just don't think it's really worth it if we don't really use him. He is a great receiver out of the backfield. That might be a bold take, though, per se. We do get Chris Saxon. He was a bright spot for us today. 5 catches, 73 yards, and a touchdown, but we were short on trying to get him 8 total catches on the game, so that certainly doesn't help us at all. And then once again, this defense does give up 40 points, and the crazy thing is, we got a couple of solid players on this team. Like, Dylan Wright is a literal almost X factor, right? He's one of our best players on this team. Sheldon Albert, who we kind of brought in as a bridge player just to kind of fill some holes up. He also had double-digit tackles as well. We didn't get any sacks, however, and we certainly didn't force any turnovers. Is one thing if we're bad, but at least trying to be optimistic. But we're bad, and we're not even getting turnovers in sacks. So it's just, we need to get some playmakers alongside Dylan Wright to really try to help things along with our defense, because I think offensively, even though we had a bad day today, I think we're perfectly fine offensively. One thing I am extremely pleased to see is that we have some really good guys, really young players with great mentality, as Chris Saxon continues to put in the work. So we're actually going to see an XP bonus for him, which is really cool. So we're getting ready to gear ourselves up here for another week of football, and before we get into it, we do get a few upgrades that I certainly want to utilize here as well. One of them is Cameron Spencer, which is one of those linebackers that does work alongside Dylan Wright, and I think it's really important that we get him up to an even better level, just to try to continue to build this defense from front to back. Cameron Spencer, we're going to work on his power move. He is going to move up to a natural 79, but those morale issues are holding him back. He does get a +4 to block shed and a +2 to play recognition, which I think is certainly going to help us out tremendously. Another thing that we happened to saw in the last week was that Chris Saxon is working on trying to really get that dev trait. He's currently tracking to being a star development trait as of right now. He's very close, I think, to getting that superstar dev trait. It's right there. So we're going to work on his physicality for the time being, just to make him a little bit more of a well-rounded athlete. And he does get to be bumped up to a natural 77. He does get a +3 to release. That's going to help him beat press coverage, which he might really help what his biggest asset is, and that's going deep for us. Then the last person that we have getting upgraded is Gabe Beltran. Gabe Beltran is our starting right tackle, and we're in a spot to where we might need to replace Gabe Beltran. I want a better starter here next season, but in spring football we can't do trades. That is not a thing, like in the spring football leagues. So we're going to work on pass protection, because we do pass the ball tremendously. And we get a +4 to pass block, which I'm sure is going to help us out quite a bit. Certainly wouldn't mind it at all. But the best thing that we can do after being blown out at home, mind you, is we just got to go ahead and just get ourselves back into the lab, continue to put in the work. And that's why we have yet another team meeting, talking about the film study that we had earlier in the week, as we are going to prepare ourselves in taking the Philadelphia Stars. We are, I believe, having this game at home, but Paul Lashley makes some real good points. Not Baltimore, but Philadelphia, this Stars team isn't really good at providing that rush defense, and particularly with that interior rushing defense. And so we're going to try to see if we can get Paul Lashley highlighted in this particular matchup, as we will strive to try to get Paul Lashley into the end zone at least a couple of times. Don't want to promise a specific number of yardage, because we are a little bit more of an air raid. But with that being said, got Baltimore. If they don't have any, Philadelphia. Don't know why that says Baltimore, to be honest. That might be a glitch in Madden 25, but I'm very sure that was actually in reference to the Philadelphia Stars. But anyways, game is all tied up at 0. We're taking on a 2-7 Philadelphia Stars team. So, if you want to try and make the playoffs, you gotta absolutely win these types of games. But unfortunately, yet again, we're off to a little bit of a slow start here. Already down 7-0, and we give up this big play downfield. Denario Allen was there to make a play, but Ringer just did a little bit more, put in a little bit more effort to make that play on the ball. And now it's going to be 3rd and goal for Philadelphia as the Stars trying to take a 2-possession lead, and they're going to do it. Titus Way has been a problem, and we cannot solve it like calculus in high school. This has been an issue, and now we're down 14-0 as we get into the second quarter of action here, trying to get our offense to find some sort of rhythm as Andrew Collar's going to drop back to pass. And the tight end is actually going to get loose here, following some blocks. And look at this. Your Dayton Triangles are going to officially find themselves up on that scoreboard. Touchdown, Dayton. And the Triangles are right back into the game. All that we really need is just get a stop from our defense. We have really struggled to take this Philadelphia offense off the field, and that is going to continue as we get beat on cover 2, as that's going to be a touchdown for Philadelphia. Jaden Pettis is able to find the open spot in the defense, and those defensive lows continue as we give up another touchdown off screen, finding ourselves down 28-10. And so we're just hoping that our offense can really carry us back into this game. And listen, Andrew Collar has been a little bit of a bright spot, throwing for over 200 yards. It just hasn't led to too much team success today, unfortunately. We'll see if he can make up for it here on a 3rd and 6. As Collar's going to throw over the middle. He's got Leon Thomas open in the end zone. And the Dayton Triangles are going to score again. Touchdown, Dayton. And the City of Aviation is really going to work now as we cut it back to a 2-possession game. But it comes back to really the original issue that we have. We can't stop these guys if our life even depended on it, man. That's the crazy part of this game. It's throwing me, it's making me lose my hair trying to play defense on Madden. But it's going to lead to yet another touchdown. Philadelphia, they put yet another score up for Jamie Ringer, as Jamie Ringer does have his 2nd touchdown of the day, and it eventually leads to a 38-17 lead for Philadelphia, as we are now ingrained in the 4th quarter, facing some pressure as Collar just trying to see if someone gets open downfield and trying to throw it away, trying to throw out of the sack, but it ends up being a forced fumble. And I really thought that Philadelphia, I don't know why I keep doing that. Philadelphia has these giving us these kind of issues. I mean, it makes me wonder, how are they a 2-7 team? Like, they are playing so much better than 2-7. That I can tell you that much. But anyways, we got a 4th and 4 here. We're going to try to pick up the 1st down here at the very least. And we're going to find Chris Saxon. And Chris Saxon's going to also find the end zone. Now, he's going to do some dancing, which, again, you're being blown out. So, that's a choice. That is certainly a choice. And we do finish the game strong, but we lost to a 2-7 team. And losing 2 games in a row really hurts. Now, unlike the last game that we played in, we actually were able to find offensive success. Yes, we did turn the ball over once, but we were able to really move the ball down the field, had over 350 yards of total offense. The problem yet again was that we simply could not stop the Philadelphia Stars, which is really pathetic because they came in as one of the worst offenses in the UFL, and yet they looked like the greatest show on turf against our defense. However, Andrew Collar continues to be a bright spot as he goes for 3 touchdowns and over 300 yards. Hey, this man is a certified baller, and we just got to get some help around him, but he's someone that, we can win a championship with someday if we put the right pieces around him. That being said, we couldn't really take advantage of what we wanted to do with our game plan, and that was to actually run the ball on this defense. That was because, well, once again, we were in a shootout and unfortunately really couldn't control tempo nearly as much as we wanted to. So that was a missed opportunity there. Leon Thomas was able to catch a touchdown, and then so did Chris Saxon, had a touchdown. Grayson Heineck also found the end zone. They all had over 70 yards receiving, with DJ Porter and Paul Lashley getting some touches as well. That being said, though, this is literally the third game in a row that we've allowed at least 40 points, which is egregious for a professional team, right? Jonathan Hicks and Ernest Cox did lead the team in tackles today. They each had 9. Dylan Wright and Paul Bass each had 8 themselves. Did have 1 sack. Eric Burton was at least able to get a sack today, but again, another day where we did not have any turnovers, which is really tough to see. So more upgrades are coming after our another disappointing loss. We continue this losing streak as we try to find some answers. We do get some few guys that we could try and upgrade here, and I definitely want to give Josh Jimenez that power rusher upgrade. That's going to bring him up to that 75. He does get a +2 to power moves, which will be nice to have. Is, you know, maybe the best way for us to get stops long term is, you know, we got to beef up this defensive line a little bit. I've also been really encouraged by the play of Andrew Collar. Andrew Collar has done a really well job. He's turned to a very well-rounded quarterback. I think he has the potential to be pretty special in this league, and I'm surprised he hasn't gotten a dev trade upgrade opportunity yet. We'll give him a strong arm for now, let him increase his throw power, but actually because of the morale issues, he's going to go down to a 73 when he should actually be a 75. He does get a +2 at least to awareness, so at least there's that. And then the last upgrade that we're going to work with is Sheldon Abbott. Sheldon Abbott is one of our starting strong safeties. That 70 overall is not where we want it to be, so we are going to look for maybe another strong safety in the upcoming draft for sure. Definitely want to work on the run support because that is something that is, better for our scheme. Like I said, if we could focus in on stopping the run, then we could focus more on being able to find ways to stop this passing game, because it's been rough in the last few games. He's up to a natural 71, but doesn't show that as of right now. But Chris Saxton hits us up after the game and lets us know that, hey, he's still putting in that work to try to be the best. And that work is starting to show, because once again, Chris Saxton does get an additional 4,500 XP. And that extra XP is actually going to allow Chris Saxton to get yet another skill point upgrade. And this time around, I think I want to make it as a playmaker, just so that we can make him even more lethal when he is someone that happens to be in the open field. He's listed as a 77 overall right now, but he's probably closer to a 79, as he does have that +4 to break tackle. And we also get more boost to the deep route and awareness, among a bunch of other things as well. So, I mean, like I said, Chris Saxton may be very close to having that superstar development. He's right there. And then Jonathan Hicks is someone that's also getting an upgrade as well. Anytime that we can get better defensively, I'm certainly taking it, as I want to work on hybrid, make him just a better, well-rounded corner. He is probably a natural 76, but because of morale issues, he is still at a 75. He does get a +2 to awareness, which I think that's something that we just desperately need right now. But because we have really seen Chris Saxton put in the work, we actually are going to get a second chance with a development trait upgrade. So Chris Saxton, the press is asking about him, and listen, he is truly our best receiver on the team outside of Paul Lashley if you count running backs. But here's the game day goal. We got to get him 150 yards and a touchdown in order for him to be upgraded to a superstar. So we'll keep that in mind, but other than that, is also a must-win game here for us against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh does lead the division. They're coming in at an impressive 8-3 record. And if we lose yet another game in a row, then we're cooked. We are effectively cooked in terms of making it to the playoffs here in year number 1. So we got to come out and win this game. This is going to help us out tremendously, though. How about that pursuit by our defensive line? This is what I've been looking for all season long. We finally got it. That's Eric Burton that's able to get loose in the backfield. And while our offense has had a rough time getting anything going today, our defense finally decides to show up as we're able to get an interception out of the back of the end zone. That's Peter Townsend that is going to be able to get out of the back of the end zone with the interception. So the one possession lead is preserved for now. But if you want to win any football game, this regardless of any level, we already know what time it is. We got to put points on the board. And us being shut out this deep into the game has been a little bit of a surprise for us. That's not how day in football typically is. But Collar is going to roll out to the right and will eventually find one of his receivers, Leon Thomas, who's able to get open and able to do some effective boxing out. And that will provide us the lead with less than 10 minutes left to play in the game. So we're up 14-6 as Pittsburgh tries to put together another drive. But there's a big reason why we're actually up right now. We got 3 interceptions on this quarterback, hoping that we can make it 4th, but this one actually was thrown on a rope to the receiver, so Pittsburgh is able to respond with a touchdown of their own. And eventually, on a later drive, they also get the field goal too. So now, all of a sudden, less than a couple of minutes left, and it feels like almost like the game is slipping in between our fingers. This is going to be a massive drive that could very well decide who's going to end up winning the game. Chris Saxon's going to come out and make the catch, and Saxon does pick up the first down. We'll try to throw again over to the right-hand side, and that might have made it through to Grayson Heidick. But the thing with Grayson Heidick, his feet wasn't in bounds, so it is considered an incompletion. So instead, it's 2nd and 10. And this time, we'll throw it out to DJ Porter on the perimeter. Nearly a first down, and we'll go ahead and use a timeout. However, coming out of the timeout, we'll be appearing once again in a 5-wide set as Chris Saxon is going to move into motion, trying to throw over the middle, trying to force feed it to Chris Saxon, and there might have been somebody else open downfield because that man was double covered, and yet Collar was dead set on getting in the ball. So, 4th and inches, and thankfully, we only need to pick up like half a yard at most. And our offensive line does just good enough of a job to create enough space for our star tailback in Paul Lashley. But less than a minute left. We got to hurry up now because we still have at least probably 2 more first downs that we got to pick up before we can think about maybe tying this game up with a field goal. But I'm sure our guys are thinking about something else. They want a game-winning drive, and they want it bad. Collar's going to throw over to the left-hand side. Wanted Goldsberry, but Goldsberry was actually covered pretty well. And so because Goldsberry was covered up pretty well, it's going to be 2nd and 10. But DJ Porter was not covered up nearly as well, even though there was a couple of guys there. Now going into the no huddle. 2 timeouts. Collar in the shotgun. Sets up the screen. Wants his tailback, and it's gonna fall incomplete. And we're gonna try to be aggressive here. Probably have one more shot at the end zone before having to settle for a field goal. Collar looks to the right hand side, but it's gonna be sacked. And we have 1 timeout remaining, so 7 seconds left in the game. And yet here we are. We're gonna try one more shot at this. 3rd and 17. Collar's looking around and is gonna send it out to the middle of the field. It's caught! Touchdown, Dayton! And the Triangles are going to stun Pittsburgh in the final moments of this late season regular season action. We will take down our division rivals as we will beat the Pittsburgh Maulers 21-17, as that's going to not only be our 4th win in the season, but also we play a little bit of spoiler for Pittsburgh as well. So, for once, our defense actually does show up and we're able to find a way to win. It's amazing what happens when your defense actually allows a reasonable amount of points We won the turnover battle as well, and that's what I need from my defense. You don't have to be the best unit in the world. Just be optimistic and let our offense handle the rest. And handle the rest they did, as Andrew Collar ends up coming out with 3 touchdown passes, including the game-winning drive, by the way. This rookie quarterback has really come into his own, and I love to see his development. He needs to get a dev trade upgrade opportunity sometime soon, in my opinion. Once again, though, we didn't really run the ball, and even when we ran the ball, we weren't great at it. We averaged about 4 yards a carry in the matchup. Chris Saxon is not going to get his dev trade opportunity either, as we could not find the end zone with Saxon. Neither did we get him 150 yards. We were well short of that, but I mean, we got the win, and that's all that matters. Leon Thomas, on the other hand, the third-year player out of Michigan, he had a massive game today. He had 50 yards, but all 3 of his catches happened to be in the end zone, though. And this was one of the best games that this defensive unit has had in a while, as we were able to allow just 17 points. Sheldon Abbott led the way with tackles. He had 9 total tackles, with Javon Hicks able to procure 8 total tackles into the game. But the big story here is that we were able to get some serious pressure, or at least better pressure than usual. Eric Burton ends up with 1.5 sacks today. Then Cameron Spencer was also able to assist on one of those sacks as well, the fellow outside linebacker. In addition, we were able to intercept the opposing Pittsburgh quarterback 3 separate times. Jonathan Hicks was able to get an interception, but so was Peter Townsend in the end zone. Plus, Dylan Wright was also able to get an interception outside of the gameplay that you just saw as well. Good win for our team, and let's see if we can come out here and try to win another one. But even though Chris Saxon led the team in catches and we ended up with the win, unfortunately Chris Saxon did not have enough production, and that's us just trying to make an excuse for why that didn't happen. And to be fair, he did get plenty of attention, so it looks like we'll miss out on that superstar dev. But after our surprising victory against the top AFC Northern Pittsburgh Maulers, we had a couple of upgrades for our defensive guys. One is Paul Bass, who did help assist in said victory, and we're going to work on his man-to-man, try to get his man-to-man up to a higher level, and sure enough, it does get him up to a 77 overall, and most notably, he's got a +2 to play recognition, +4 in press as well, so that's certainly going to help when we actually try to press at the line of scrimmage. And then the other player that got an upgrade for us was Cameron Means, who it does get a little bit closer to actually being a 70 overall. We are going to work on his run stopper, because I think what we're seeing is we're able to key in on the run a little bit more, stop the run. That's going to help at least put in third and long situations to help our defense a little bit. So we'll continue with run stopper. He comes up to a 68 overall now for Cameron Means, and he'll get a +3 in play recognition with +2 in awareness, which, you know, we certainly won't mind awareness when we can click on every single time. So the final game of this episode has us returning home once again, and we'll be taking on the Birmingham Stallions. Now, the Birmingham Stallions are coming in. They are 3-8 on the season. They have a similar record than us, but I'm surprised that they actually do have a similar record until I see that putrid quarterback throw, and there's Dylan Wright trying to take this all the way. Touchdown, Dayton, and the Triangles are going to take the lead as we get a pick 6 on the board to get things started. So a good start for your Dayton Triangles as we have a 7-0 lead. With that being said, let's see if we can make it 14-0, dare I say it, as we are here late in the first quarter. 3rd and 4 as we'll throw over the middle. It's going to find Chris Saxon, and Saxon is going to find the end zone. Touchdown, Triangles, and Dayton is going to extend their lead further, showing that we are having an absolutely dominating first half as we eventually take a 21-7 lead into the halftime locker room, and we have a chance to maybe do a little bit of double dipping as well, because here we are with one of our first drives in the 3rd quarter of this game, and we're going to score again. Another score for this Dayton team, and this time it's Leon Thomas that's going to be able to find the end zone. Another touchdown for this Dayton offense, as they've really been going to work, and they have been going to work really well. 28-7 now is your score, as now Paul Lashley going to get a little bit more involvement as we try to run out some more of this clock, try to put Birmingham away early, and just move on to the next game on deck. Carver's going to scramble. He's going to try to fight for the end zone. It's going to be denied and just short. Probably normally wouldn't have taken that hit if he knew, unless he knew he had a chance to actually get into the end zone there. But instead, it's going to be 3rd and goal. And while we try a toss play out to the outside to throw Birmingham off base, fortunately, it didn't really work. But 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. We're going to try to run it yet again. See if we can get a touchdown here for Paul Lashley, as we're going to go ahead and snap it. And sure enough, Paul Lashley is able to find the end zone. Sometimes, you know, a person needs a second or maybe even a 3rd chance, and they'll be able to execute after all. So another score for Dayton, as we're now going to be up 35-14. And with 4.5 minutes left in the game, this should be no more than a formality, as, oh my goodness, if I had a little bit more time, that was going to be another big play. Like, I think we're figuring out quickly why Birmingham is as bad as what their record is. They can't stop a nosebleed, just like how we can't really stop a nosebleed sometimes, but it is what it is. We'll throw over to the right-hand side because I wanted the pivot route, but unfortunately it's going to be incomplete. So not a perfect game, not a perfect game by any means, but we played a really good game. I would say like a B+, A- type of game. And we're going to dominate Birmingham, as we will have a winning streak once again. Let's see if we can build upon it. But after the game, we do end up getting a dev upgrade for Nate Rogan. Rogan, you know, got a little bit of playing time today because of some injuries that did end up happening on our offensive line. And at this point, he is kind of a fringe player for us. We're going to work on his pass protection because we are, you know, definitely one of those air raid teams. And it looks like he does move up to a natural 61 with the +2 to awareness. But because of morale, he's still down to a 60 overall, though, which isn't great to see. So with 5 games left to play for your Dayton Triangles, this is where we currently stand in terms of where we are. So what we're looking at right now is that we are sitting at 5-7. So we have a decent record here in year number 1, but at the same time though, we are actually very much in that playoff hunt. Going on that 2-game winning streak certainly is going to help us out tremendously. The 7th seed right now belongs to the Houston Roughnecks at 7-6, and we're only a game and a half back, so these next 5 games are going to be very relevant. If we can continue to play defensively like we did the past couple of games, we can certainly make something shake. And shoot, even Pittsburgh, that's not completely out of the question either. We do have a 3-2 divisional record. We do have one more game against Columbus. Beating Columbus late in the year could also help us out in the event that we do catch up to Pittsburgh and that divisional tiebreak does come into play. In other news, in terms of other things to note in our conference, the DC Defenders do have the best record in the AFC. They're sitting at 10-2 as of right now. But the Las Vegas Vipers and the St. Louis Battlehawks, they're both right behind them at 9-3. Although St. Louis would be going to a wild card game if the season ended today, which is wild. In the AFC South, San Antonio does have the lead as well with an 8-4 record. Now, taking a look at the NFC side of our Spring Football League and looking at how things are shaking out right now, the Minnesota Blizzard do have an 8-4 record, so they're kings of the North for right now, but a tight second pack behind them as Louisville and Chicago are both right there with a 7-5 record. And shoot, even the Michigan Panthers are not completely out of it either. They have a solid record as well at 6-7. They're not completely out of this thing either. As for the South, New Orleans has garnered one of the best records in the league at 8-4 as well, with the Atlanta Legends tied right behind them at 8-4 as well. Arlington trying to chase both of those teams down, and then Tampa Bay looks like they're kind of gearing towards a #1 overall pick at this venture. In the NFC East, also a two-way tie. The Charlotte Knights and the Charleston Dirty Birds both tied with an 8-4 record between these two teams. With the New Jersey Generals, they're doing okay at 6-6. And the Philadelphia Stars are in last with a 4-8 record. Really wish we would have been able to beat these guys, but it just wasn't really meant to be for us there. And then the last division within the NFC that we haven't talked about already, the NFC West. Really tight race here in the NFC West. The Eugene Chiefs currently in the lead with a 7-6 record. The Arizona Hotshots are a half game back, and the Seattle Sea Dragons are not completely out of it either, with the LA Wildcats, for all intents purposes, they look like they're probably not going to be going to the playoffs this season. Now, normally what I would do here, if it was like anything other than a Sunday 1 o'clock game, I would play the full game. But because we saw that Tampa Bay is 2-10 and they're gearing for the first overall pick in our Spring League draft, what we're going to do is next episode, we're going to play the moments of the final 5 games of the season. So that means we will see our last 2 road games at Tampa Bay and at the Boston not the Mariners, but the I actually forgot who the Boston team name is. Well, completely lost track of that. Complete brain fart. But then we have 3 home games afterwards. Columbus Destroyers we have, which is a divisional matchup. And then we'll also take on the Memphis Showboats and the Arlington Renegades. A 3-game homestand to end the season. So we certainly could make a run. And the fact that we're coming in on a 2-game winning streak, one of them against the Pittsburgh Maulers, we could do something here if our defense comes to play. So that's what we got planned for the next episode. Hope you guys have been enjoying this series. It's been a lot of fun to bring this Team Builder series to life here in Madden 25. And it will really warm my heart if you continue to show that love by doing one of 2 things for me if you haven't done so already. Hit that like button, because hitting that like button does let me know that, hey, you're enjoying this content, and it also helps YouTube algorithm push it out to more like-minded folks like you guys that made it all the way to the end of this video. Y'all are the real MVPs for that, by the way. And then hit that subscribe button as well if you're brand new to the channel and you made it all the way to the end of this video as well. You might as well hit that subscribe button, because it makes it even easier for you guys to get my videos. But with that being said, this is John Jake Gaming on the mic, coming at you with the regular season finale in the next episode. Hope you guys enjoy it. Take care, everybody.